There comes a moment in every soul's journey when something inside begins to stir. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's a whisper, one that seems to rise from deep within your bones, saying, "You are not who you used to be. You are remembering who you truly are." At first, you don't understand what's happening. You just know you no longer fit inside the same patterns, the same relationships, the same roles, the same expectations you used to play so well. The world looks the same, yet something feels profoundly different. You start to feel emotions more deeply than ever. Before, joy and sadness all at once, love and pain intertwined. You cry without knowing why. You crave solitude, silence, nature. You look at the sky and feel an ancient longing, as if you've been waiting for lifetimes for this moment, the moment of remembering. That is the awakening of the divine feminine. It is not a gender. It is not a role. It is an energy, a consciousness, the part of your soul that knows how to receive, how to nurture, how to trust, and how to surrender without losing power. For thousands of years, this energy has been suppressed, silenced, or misunderstood. We were taught that strength means hardness, that leadership means control, that logic is superior to emotion. We learn to chase, to prove, to survive. We learn to silence our intuition in order to be accepted in a world built on dominance and fear. But now the balance is shifting. Across the planet, women and men are awakening to a different kind of power. Power that doesn't seek to conquer but to connect. A power that doesn't destroy to win, but heals to transform. You might be one of them, one of those souls feeling the call to rise, not in anger but in remembrance. Not against the masculine but with it, in harmony, in sacred balance. But before the rise there is always a breaking. Before awakening there is always the dark night. For the divine feminine to awaken, everything false must first collapse. The illusions of control, the masks of perfection, the wounds we kept buried for years, they all begin to surface. It may come as heartbreak. It may come as betrayal. It may come as loss. Something or someone triggers the deepest pain within you, and you feel like the world is falling apart. But what's really happening is that your soul is clearing space for truth. You see, the feminine cannot awaken inside walls built from fear. She blooms only when those walls begin to crumble. And so she rises from the ashes of everything you once thought you needed. In this moment, you begin to sense your own sacred power returning. Not the kind that shouts, "Look at me," but the quiet, radiant strength that whispers, "I am here." You start to trust your intuition again. Those subtle nudges that always seem to guide you toward what your mind cannot yet understand. You begin to honor your emotions not as weakness, but as sacred messengers from your inner world. You learn to flow instead of fight, to listen instead of rush, to receive instead of force. And suddenly, everything starts to make sense. The heartbreak that once shattered you becomes the fire that purified you. The rejection that once broke your confidence becomes the mirror that showed you where you abandoned yourself. The solitude that once felt unbearable now feels sacred, because it is in the quiet that you finally hear your soul. This awakening is not comfortable. It asks you to shed every layer that isn't real. It asks you to release old versions of yourself, the pleaser, the chaser, the caretaker who thought love meant sacrifice. But every time you let go of something that doesn't serve you, you rise a little higher. Every tear becomes a baptism. Every heartbreak becomes a doorway. And through it all, you begin to see the truth. You were never meant to be small. You were never meant to live in survival mode. You are the divine feminine, the living embodiment of creation, intuition, compassion, and strength. You are the moon reflecting the sun, the tide that responds to the stars, the stillness between breaths. You are the pulse of life itself. Sometimes this awakening happens through your twin flame connection, because nothing mirrors your soul more perfectly than your divine counterpart. They trigger you not to destroy you but to awaken you. They reflect back every unhealed wound, every fear of rejection, every piece of yourself you've abandoned. In chasing them, you eventually find yourself. In losing them, you discover that you were never separate. And that realization changes everything. You stop asking, "When will he come back?" Instead, you start asking, "How can I come home to myself?" This is the sacred turning point. The moment when the divine feminine stops waiting to be chosen and chooses herself. no longer chasing love. Outside she becomes love itself. No longer begging for validation, she stands in her own worth. No longer needing to control, she trusts the divine timing of all things. And in that surrender, she becomes magnetic. Because the feminine does not chase, she attracts. She doesn't demand, she invites. She doesn't compete, she creates. That is her magic. That is her power. Look around the world right now. Do you feel it too? The rising of compassion. The longing for peace. The softening of hearts that once were closed. The collective exhaustion of constant striving, replaced by a yearning for truth, connection, and authenticity. That is the global awakening of the divine feminine. It is not a movement of rebellion, but of remembrance. A return to the sacred. A return to balance. For centuries, the world has been ruled by distorted masculinity. Dominance without empathy, logic without intuition, control without trust. But now, as the feminine awakens, she brings healing not only to herself, but to all of humanity. She teaches the masculine how to feel again. She teaches the heart to trust again. She teaches the world that true power comes from love, not fear. So if you've been feeling lost lately, if your emotions have been rising like waves, if you're suddenly questioning everything you thought you knew, then take a deep breath. You are not broken. You are awakening. This is your soul's way of guiding you back to your truth. You are remembering that the love you've been searching for outside has always lived within you. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to earn it. You only have to return to it. Because when you rise in your divine feminine, you rise for all of us. You are not waiting for him, you are rising within yourself. Before she could rise, she had to fall. Before she could remember who she was, she had to forget. This is the paradox of the wounded feminine. She was never truly broken. Only buried beneath centuries of silence, of expectation, of pain passed down through generations. Each woman carried not just her own wounds, but the unspoken grief of those who came before her. Mothers, grandmothers, ancestors whose voices were never heard. And in this lifetime, the divine feminine has chosen to awaken. But awakening is not soft light and angelic whispers. It begins in the dark, in the places we least want to look. The origin of the wound. The wound of the feminine began the moment she was told she was too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too loving, too intuitive. So she learned to shrink herself to fit into a world that valued noise over silence, logic over wisdom, and doing over being. In her relationships, she began to carry the weight of others, healing, fixing, nurturing, giving until there was nothing left to give. And when she finally fell apart, the world called her weak. But what they didn't see was that she wasn't weak. She was tired. Tired of pretending to be strong in a world that never learned to hold her softness. How the wound shows up. The wounded feminine wears many masks. Sometimes she's the rescuer, drawn to broken people because she feels needed. Sometimes she's the chaser, believing love must be earned through sacrifice. Sometimes she's the perfectionist, trying to control everything because chaos feels unsafe. And sometimes she's the silent one, smiling through pain, never asking for help, because she's been taught to endure quietly. She might stay in relationships that drain her, jobs that numb her, roles that suffocate her, all because she's afraid of being alone, afraid of being seen as selfish, afraid that her worth depends on how useful she is to others. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever said yes when your whole body screamed no? Have you ever felt guilty for choosing yourself? Have you ever mistaken attention for love or control for safety? These are not your flaws. They are your wounds speaking. The echoes of a time when you had to survive by abandoning yourself. The twin flame mirror. If you are on the twin flame journey, you have probably met your mirror. The person who reflects back everything hidden inside you. The divine feminine often plays the role of the chaser in this connection. She gives endlessly. She feels deeply. She loves unconditionally, even when it hurts. But here's the truth. She isn't really chasing him. She's chasing the part of herself she lost when she learned to make others her source of worth. Every time he runs, she feels abandoned, not by him, but by her own inner masculine, The part of her that was supposed to protect, support, and provide safety. And so she chases. She tries to fix, to control, to hold on, until the pain becomes unbearable. And when she finally surrenders, not because she wants to, but because she must, the healing begins. The pain beneath. The patterns. The wounded feminine carries ancient pain. The pain of rejection. The pain of betrayal. The pain of being unseen. In her childhood, she might have learned that love had conditions. That being good meant being quiet. That expressing emotion brought punishment or shame. So she hid her feelings. She numbed her intuition. She learned to survive in a world that rewarded performance over presence. But what she didn't realize was that every suppressed emotion became energy trapped in her body, manifesting as anxiety, fatigue, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. The feminine body remembers everything. Every time she was told to stay silent, her throat tightened. Every time she was told she wasn't enough, her heart closed a little more. Every time she gave love that wasn't returned, her womb, the sacred space of creation, stored another layer of pain. And so now, as she awakens, her body begins to release what her soul no longer wants to carry. Tears come without reason. Old memories resurface. She starts to feel everything she once numbed, because healing demands presence. The moment of realization. Then comes the moment, the sacred breaking point. When she finally sees that no one is coming to save her. When she understands that the love she's been begging for from others is the love she has denied herself all along. It's a painful truth, but also a liberating one, because once she realizes this, she stops waiting for closure, for apology, for validation. She closes her eyes, places her hand on her heart, and whispers, "I forgive myself for forgetting who I am." That single act begins to change everything. From victim to alchemist. The wounded feminine has every reason to be bitter. But the awakening feminine chooses differently. She decides that her pain will not define her. She decides that her past will not imprison her. She decides to transmute suffering into wisdom, and heartbreak into compassion. This is the moment she shifts from victim to alchemist. She learns to feel without drowning, to love without losing herself, to give without expectation. She no longer tries to control the outcome, because she finally understands that the divine has always been guiding her. The very moments she thought were breaking her were actually shaping her into the woman she was destined to become. Healing the inner feminine and inner masculine. The feminine cannot rise alone. She needs her inner masculine, the energy of structure, protection, and action, to hold space for her. For too long, the wounded feminine has tried to heal others while neglecting herself. Now she calls back her power by reuniting with her inner masculine. She says to him, "I need you to stand beside me, not above me. I need you to protect, not control. I need you to lead with heart, not with fear." And within her, the two energies begin to dance again. Logic and intuition, giving and receiving, strength and softness, in divine harmony, collective healing. As one woman heals, she heals her lineage. She heals the energetic memory of every woman who was silenced, shamed, or unseen. She becomes the bridge between generations, the one who stops passing down pain and starts passing down peace. And as her energy rises, so does the vibration of the planet. Because when the divine feminine heals, the world heals with her. Reflection. So if you are in pain right now, if you feel your heart breaking open, if you are tired of always being the one who gives, who understands, who forgives, then know this: you are not being punished. You are being purified. This is your sacred initiation, the fire that burns away illusion, leaving only truth. You are remembering your worth. You are reclaiming your softness as strength. You are stepping out of survival and into sovereignty. You are not too much. You were simply asked to be less by those who couldn't handle your light. Let that truth sink in. Because as you heal the wounded feminine within you, you create space for the divine feminine to rise. And when she rises, she doesn't seek revenge. She doesn't chase validation. She simply shines. And everything meant for her finds its way home. There comes a moment in every woman's life, every soul's journey, when the darkness no longer defines her, when the wounds that once tore her apart become the soil from which she blossoms, when the tears, the heartbreak, the betrayals, and the long nights of solitude, all of it, transforms into fuel for her rebirth. This is the sacred rebirth of the divine feminine. It is not given. It is not handed to her. It is remembered. For the divine feminine does not rise by seeking external approval. She rises by answering the call within herself, by stepping into the light she once feared, by reclaiming every piece of herself that was lost, silenced, or denied. The awakening within. After the wounded feminine has faced her pain, she begins to feel a shift. It starts subtly, a flicker in the heart, a glimmer in the eyes, a whisper in the soul. She notices herself pausing, breathing, listening. She begins to honor her intuition without question. She starts to say no when her body, mind, or heart says no. She learns that boundaries are not walls, they are sacred lines drawn in love, a protection of her energy. This is the first sign of rebirth, self-recognition. The moment she sees herself not as broken or flawed, but as a whole being, stepping into her own light. And with this recognition, the feminine begins to claim her power, not the loud, aggressive power of domination, but the quiet, magnetic, soulful power that moves mountains without force, reclaiming the body and spirit. The divine feminine's rebirth is not only emotional, but physical. Her body remembers the energy it once carried. Her womb, her heart, her voice, all awaken as vessels of creation, intuition, and authenticity. She might begin to notice changes in how she moves through the world. She walks with intention, no longer shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. Her gaze carries clarity yet softness, a reflection of inner wisdom. She speaks her truth with grace, no longer fearing disagreement or rejection. Her energy no longer disperses in endless giving. It radiates from a place of fullness. This is the feminine rising, embodied, sovereign, unapologetically herself. Spiritually, she reconnects with practices that honor her soul, meditation, sacred movement, journaling, art, or rituals that awaken her creativity. She learns to trust the unseen, to feel energy, and to listen to the whispers of the universe. Every practice becomes an act of love, for herself, for life, for all creation. Reclaiming emotional sovereignty. Perhaps the most profound aspect of her rebirth is emotional sovereignty. The wounds of the past no longer control her reactions. She feels deeply, but she no longer becomes entangled in chaos. She recognizes when emotions are hers, when they belong to others, and when they are collective energy she has unconsciously absorbed. She stops seeking external validation. She stops giving love as currency. She begins to create from her heart, freely and abundantly without expectation. And in this process she discovers the truest form of power, emotional freedom. A freedom that allows her to love without attachment, to connect without losing herself, and to shine without needing permission. The dance with the divine masculine. As the feminine rises, so too does the relationship with her inner masculine, the energy of action, structure, and protection that complements her intuitive and receptive nature. No longer does she chase the masculine externally, hoping he will fix, complete, or validate her. Instead, she calls in the divine masculine as an equal, a partner, a reflection of her own strength. In her twin flame or life relationships, this shift transforms everything. She no longer fears abandonment because she is whole. She no longer tries to control outcomes because she trusts the divine flow. She no longer needs to prove her worth because she knows her value is inherent. And when the divine masculine shows up, aligned, grounded, and conscious, their connection becomes a mirror of balance, sacred union, and mutual growth. A dance rather than a chase, a merging rather than a surrender. The creative force of the divine feminine. Rebirth awakens her creative power, not just in art, music, or writing, but in every act of living. She begins to create life in every sense, nurturing relationships without losing herself, manifesting opportunities without force, generating abundance without scarcity thinking, bringing healing energy to others without draining herself. She realizes that creativity is not just a hobby or a talent, it is the language of the soul. Every thought, every word, every action becomes an expression of her divine essence. And the world responds. Doors open. Connections flow, opportunities appear. Not because she chases them, but because her energy aligns with the highest vibration of love and purpose. The power of surrender. Perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of the divine feminine's rebirth is surrender. Surrender is not weakness. It is not giving up. It is not waiting passively for life to happen. Surrender is an act of trust. A declaration. I trust life. I trust myself. I trust love. When she surrenders, she releases the need to control outcomes. She allows experiences to flow naturally. She allows the divine to guide her steps, rather than forcing the path with fear or anxiety. And paradoxically, in this surrender, she becomes unstoppable. For when she stops resisting, she aligns with the infinite current of creation. She becomes a channel through which miracles, synchronicities, and transformation can flow, radiating light and healing others. The reborn feminine does not rise alone. Every step she takes uplifts others. Every act of self-love sends ripples through families, communities, and even collective consciousness. She becomes a beacon for those who have forgotten their own light. Her courage inspires others to step into their power. Her compassion heals wounds that words cannot touch. And through this, she begins to realize a profound truth. Healing herself heals the world. Rising within herself raises the collective consciousness. She is no longer just a woman. She is a movement, a force, a revolution of love, intuition, and creation. The sacred message. To every soul awakening in this lifetime. You are not waiting for validation. You are not waiting for someone to choose you. You are not waiting for love to arrive from outside. You are rising from within. You are claiming your worth, your power, your voice. You are reclaiming your body, your heart, your soul. And as you rise, the world around you transforms. Because the divine feminine is not just an individual awakening. She is a collective force. She is the energy that can heal, nurture, and inspire humanity to remember its own sacred essence. You are not waiting for him. You are rising within yourself. The rebirth of the divine feminine is not a single moment. It is a continuous unfolding, a daily choice to honor your intuition, to trust your heart, and to live fully in your own truth. Every day you choose self-love. Every day you embrace your authenticity. Every day you surrender to life with grace. You step further into your divine feminine power. And when you do, love, true, sacred, aligned love, finds its way to you effortlessly, naturally, divinely. The rebirth of the divine feminine is not confined to the realms of the soul, or to moments of quiet reflection. It is not a state that exists only in meditation, in rituals, or in fleeting moments of inspiration. Her power is meant to be lived, embodied, breathed into the world. For the divine feminine rises not to hide in sanctuaries, but to transform reality. Not to wait for love to find her, but to magnetize the universe toward her aligned vibration. Not to remain passive, but to act from intuition, authenticity, and grace. This is the next stage of awakening. Integration. Honoring daily rhythm and the body. The divine feminine's energy is cyclical, intuitive, and deeply connected to the body. To embody her in daily life, she begins by reconnecting with her physical vessel. She listens to her body, not in judgment, not in obligation, but in reverent curiosity. When her energy feels low, she rests. When her heart calls for connection, she nurtures relationships aligned with her soul. When her body craves movement, she dances, stretches, or walks in nature. Every meal, every breath, every posture becomes an act of sacred devotion. The feminine knows that the body is not separate from the soul. It is the living temple in which her divinity expresses. She honors her cycles, menstrual, lunar, emotional, and treats them not as inconveniences, but as sacred markers of her alignment, intuition, and creativity. In doing so, she reclaims her body from the demands of a world that taught her to shrink, to overwork, and to numb herself. She moves through life with fluidity and presence, rather than rigidity and resistance, creating sacred space in life. To embody the divine feminine, she creates sacred spaces, physical, mental, and emotional. Physically, her home, her workspace, and her environment reflect her inner state. She surrounds herself with beauty, light, and objects that awaken joy. Plants, crystals, art, colors, scents. Each element becomes a mirror of her soul. Mentally, she cultivates clarity. She chooses thoughts that serve her highest good. She releases judgments, fears, and comparisons that cloud her perception. She allows silence and reflection to become natural companions, rather than luxuries. Emotionally, she sets boundaries with compassion. She releases people, habits, and situations that drain her energy. She no longer confuses obligation with love, or guilt with duty. Every boundary is a declaration of her sacred worth, and a protection of her energy. Sacred space is not selfishness, it is sovereignty. It is the foundation from which her light can shine, unblocked and unobstructed. The art of presence and flow. One of the most powerful expressions of the divine feminine is presence. She does not rush. She does not force outcomes. She does not overanalyze or control the world around her. Instead, she moves with flow, intuitive, responsive, and aligned. She listens to the subtle nudges of the universe. She notices synchronicities, symbols, and signs that guide her path. She trusts her instincts even when logic disagrees. Flow is not passive. It is active alignment, acting when the moment calls, waiting when it does not. It is the balance of action and surrender, creation and release, giving and receiving. In this way, life becomes a dance. Each step, each choice, each interaction reflects her inner rhythm, rather than society's imposed tempo. Transforming relationships. The divine feminine does not awaken in isolation. Her power transforms how she connects with others. She no longer seeks validation through relationships. She no longer chases love or approval. Instead, she nurtures connections that honor her truth. She speaks her truth without fear of conflict. She listens deeply without judgment or attachment. She supports others while maintaining her own boundaries. Her relationships become reflections of balance and authenticity. Through her presence, she inspires those around her to awaken their own power. She becomes a mirror of sovereignty, compassion, and alignment, not by demanding it but by living it. Even in challenging relationships, she responds from conscious awareness rather than reaction. She sees others' behaviors as reflections, mirrors of unresolved wounds, and opportunities for growth. The power of creation. To embody the divine feminine is to create, not only in art but in life itself. Creation is her natural state. She manifests abundance, joy, and love from alignment, not desperation. She builds dreams, nurtures visions, and contributes her gifts to the world. She manifests through intention, guided by her inner knowing. She expresses herself fully without apology. She channels creativity into actions that uplift herself and others. Every act of creation, whether in business, art, family, or service, becomes a sacred ritual. She understands that creation is not about control, but about co-creation with the universe. Her work becomes her worship. Her vision becomes her devotion. Her life becomes the canvas on which her soul expresses its divinity. Embracing self-love as a daily practice. At the heart of embodying the divine feminine is radical self-love. This is not ego-driven pride or arrogance. It is deep recognition. I am whole. I am worthy. I am enough. She nurtures herself daily, speaking kindly to her inner voice, honoring her desires without shame, celebrating her accomplishments big and small, giving herself the same compassion she freely offers to others. Self-love becomes her armor, her guide, and her foundation. It protects her energy, reinforces her sovereignty, and radiates outward as magnetism. When she loves herself, she no longer fears rejection, abandonment, or betrayal. She understands that she is the source of her own fulfillment. The ripple effect. As the divine feminine integrates her power into daily life, her impact extends beyond herself. She heals collective wounds by choosing presence over distraction. She transforms workplaces by bringing empathy and collaboration into action. She models conscious parenting, leadership, and partnership. She shifts societal norms by living authenticity, compassion, and sovereignty. Her awakening becomes a lighthouse, guiding others toward remembrance. Every act of alignment, Every choice rooted in intuition, every gesture of love, sends ripples through the collective consciousness. Her personal evolution becomes a global evolution. The ultimate truth. The divine feminine understands that she is not waiting for validation, not waiting for completion, not waiting for someone to rescue or recognize her. She is already whole. She is already complete. She is already divine. Her power manifests through daily actions, presence, and conscious choices. Her life becomes the proof of her awakening. Her love becomes the proof of her sovereignty. And in embodying herself fully, she realizes the ultimate truth. You are not waiting for him. You are rising within yourself. And through your rise, the world rises too. The divine feminine is alive in your gestures, in your breath, in your choices. She is not a concept, not a goal, not a distant dream. She is here. She is now. She is you. Every day you choose alignment, love, and presence, you step further into her embodiment. Every day you honor yourself, your cycles, and your power, you rise. This is the art of living as the divine feminine, not in isolation but in harmony with the world, with love, and with your soul. The awakening of the divine feminine is not merely a personal journey. It is a calling, a preparation for a sacred connection. The twin flame union. But let us pause for a moment, because this is not what many believe. The twin flame is not a person to complete you. The twin flame is a mirror, reflecting back to you everything you have healed, everything you still resist, and everything you are destined to become. The divine feminine does not chase. She does not plead for love, validation, or acknowledgement. She manifests a union that is sacred, aligned, and conscious, because she has risen from within herself first. The mirror effect. In the presence of a twin flame, every layer of the divine feminine is illuminated. Her shadows are reflected back, urging her to release control and fear. Her wounds are echoed, showing her patterns of attachment, dependence, or avoidance. Her light is amplified, revealing her strength, intuition, and creativity. The twin flame relationship acts as a cosmic mirror. Every emotion experienced, every reaction felt, every thought triggered is an invitation to deeper self-awareness. Have you ever wondered why twin flames sometimes seem to push each other to the edge? It is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is a divine mechanism to strip away illusions, to strip away the need for validation from another, and to allow the feminine to stand fully in her sovereignty. The mirror shows her. You are not missing. You are not incomplete. You are whole. And the love you have been seeking outside has always existed within. The divine feminine in union. When she steps fully into her power, the divine feminine enters union not as a pursuer, but as a sovereign being. She chooses presence over control, gives love without sacrificing self-worth, communicates openly without manipulation or fear, honors her desires while respecting her partner's journey. In this way, the twin flame connection becomes a co-creation, a dance of energies balanced between masculine and feminine, action and receptivity, giving and receiving. The feminine energy does not seek to merge and lose herself. Instead, she stands as a radiant, whole being, inviting the masculine to meet her in equal power and consciousness. The union becomes sacred not because it is perfect, but because it is conscious. Every challenge is seen as an opportunity to grow. Every difference becomes a lesson in harmony. Every reunion feels like a homecoming of two energies aligning with the divine blueprint. Healing through connection. One of the most profound gifts of twin flame union is healing through reflection. The feminine may encounter triggers, moments when the past pain seems to resurface. Perhaps he is distant, unavailable, or mirrors her fears of abandonment. Perhaps she notices herself repeating old patterns of giving too much, chasing too hard, or controlling outcomes. Yet in each trigger lies opportunity. The awakened feminine learns to respond with awareness, not reaction. She sees the reflection of her unresolved wound and chooses to heal it in the moment. This is the alchemy of twin flame love. Pain transforms into wisdom, fear transforms into trust, attachment transforms into freedom, and separation transforms into unity of soul. By holding her boundaries, honoring her needs, and maintaining sovereignty, she becomes a teacher to herself and a mirror to her twin flame. The role of divine feminine energy. In the context of union, the divine feminine plays a unique and powerful role. Magnetism. Her awakened energy naturally draws alignment. The masculine energy, whether in a twin flame or not, responds to authenticity and radiance. Healing catalyst. Her presence awakens the masculine's own shadow and light, inviting him to rise into consciousness. Creative co-creation. Together, feminine and masculine energies manifest visions, projects, or pathways that neither could accomplish alone. Mirror of wholeness. By standing fully in herself, she allows the twin flame to see the possibility of alignment without dependency or codependence. The feminine becomes the living embodiment of love as a force, not as a longing, not as a plea, but as a radiance that reshapes reality itself. The dance of union. Twin flame union is not linear. It is cyclical, fluid, and sacredly unpredictable. There will be periods of closeness and distance, moments of clarity and confusion, times of bliss and times of reflection. Yet the awakened feminine does not panic. She does not chase. She does not force outcomes. Instead, she moves in rhythm with the energies. Reunion phases, where joy, intimacy, and harmony manifest effortlessly. Separation phases, where growth, reflection, and inner healing take precedence. Integration phases, where lessons consolidate, and the energies balance within and without. Through these cycles, the feminine learns patience, trust, and the sacred rhythm of life. Manifesting sacred connection. To manifest a conscious, sacred union, the divine feminine aligns herself fully. She knows her worth and acts from a place of self-respect. She nurtures her energy, her intuition, and her inner guidance. She communicates authentically, expressing desires, boundaries, and truths. She creates space for the masculine to rise without chasing or controlling. Manifestation in this sense is not about forcing the relationship. It is about embodying the frequency of alignment, wholeness, and love, and allowing the universe to orchestrate connection naturally. Her rise from within acts as a magnet. Her alignment acts as a signal to the masculine. Here is a sovereign being, a radiant energy, a reflection of divine order. And when the twin flame responds from his awakened state, the union becomes a sacred dance of co-creation, joy, and growth. The message of the divine feminine in union. The awakened feminine understands a profound truth. Love is not the goal. Love is the reflection of alignment, wholeness, and consciousness. She knows. She is not waiting for him. She is not dependent on his presence or approval. She is rising within herself. And in this rising, everything else falls into its natural place. The connection becomes effortless, profound, and aligned with the divine plan. The feminine teaches that true union is not about merging identities. It is about standing fully in yourself while holding space for another to do the same. It is about respect, honor, trust, and conscious love. It is the ultimate expression of sacred freedom and sacred connection intertwined. The collective impact. As she embodies herself fully, the impact spreads. She uplifts the twin flame relationship, creating a model for conscious connection. She inspires others to heal, rise, and reclaim their sovereignty. She contributes to a collective awakening, showing that love can be conscious, empowered, and transformative. The divine feminine's rise is never solely personal. It reverberates outward, touching lives, shifting energies, and elevating the collective consciousness. Her love is a force of creation, a ripple through time, a movement of awakening. Reflection. So if you are reading this and feeling the stirrings of awakening, know this: you do not need to chase. You do not need to plead. You do not need to prove your worth. You are already whole. You are already divine. And through your rise, the sacred connection you are meant to experience will align naturally. You are not waiting for him, you are rising within yourself. And in your rise, the union manifests in its purest, most sacred form. The divine feminine in union is a reflection of wholeness. She loves freely, fiercely, and consciously. She honors herself and her counterpart. She moves through life aligned, aware, and radiant. She is not waiting. She is rising, and the universe bends in response. The awakening of the divine feminine does not end with union. It does not conclude with the mirrored connection of the twin flame. nor with the bliss of synchronicity. Her journey continues not outwardly but inwardly, integrating all that she has learned, all that she has healed, and all that she has risen to become. This is the stage of full embodiment, where her energy radiates through every aspect of life, where her power is no longer a secret, a fleeting spark or a silent fire. It is a force that shapes her reality, influences the collective, and leaves a legacy of love, wisdom, and awakening. Integration. Becoming whole in every aspect of life. After awakening, healing, and union, the divine feminine turns her gaze to integration. Integration is the process of weaving every part of herself, shadow and light, vulnerability and strength, intuition and action, into a seamless tapestry of wholeness. She asks herself, how can I honor my inner voice in daily decisions? How can I maintain boundaries without guilt? How can I act from love instead of fear? This requires presence, mindfulness, and reflection. It requires acknowledging that life will always present challenges, distractions, and energies that test her alignment. And yet, the awakened feminine responds not with resistance, but with grace and conscious choice. She aligns her work with her values. She chooses relationships that honor mutual growth. She speaks, moves, and acts with integrity, understanding that her energy leaves an imprint on everyone she encounters. Integration is not perfection. It is authenticity. It is the courage to show up fully, messy, luminous, human, and divine all at once. Expansion. Radiating influence beyond self. Once integration takes root, the divine feminine naturally expands. She realizes that her growth is not solely for her own benefit. Every choice she makes, every energy she cultivates, every act of self-love resonates outward, touching lives, communities, and even the collective consciousness. In her career, she leads with empathy, vision, and purpose. In her family, she nurtures without controlling, guiding without imposing. In her social circles, she models conscious connection, respect, and authentic power. Expansion is the natural evolution of the awakened feminine. Her personal sovereignty becomes a force for collective healing. Her intuition becomes a compass for decisions that impact more than herself. Her energy becomes a magnet for alignment, collaboration, and conscious creation. She begins to understand that the ripples of her rise extend far beyond her immediate environment. The more she embodies love, courage, and clarity, the more she influences the world. The feminine legacy. Beyond personal achievement. The divine feminine's journey ultimately leads to legacy. Not legacy as defined by wealth, status, or accolades, but by the impact of her energy, wisdom, and presence. Her legacy is visible in the souls she inspires. Through her courage to rise, she ignites awakening in others, reminding them of their own power. The love she cultivates. Relationships become reflections of conscious love. Not codependence, not possession, but co-creation and freedom. The contribution she makes. Every creative endeavor, act of service, and choice to lead from integrity leaves a footprint on the world. The energy she leaves behind. Her alignment with the divine blueprint creates a vibration that outlives her actions, influencing generations to come. The awakened feminine understands that true immortality is energetic. It is the resonance of her love, her clarity, and her sovereignty that echoes long after any physical presence fades. The role of daily practice in sustaining embodiment. Living fully as the divine feminine requires intentional daily practice, meditation, and mindfulness. She begins each day grounded, centering herself in awareness and presence, movement and body connection. She honors the temple of her body through yoga, dance, walking, or conscious breathwork, journaling, and reflection. She records insights, releases fear, and affirms her sovereignty. Energy hygiene. She clears energy imbalances, protects her boundaries, and consciously directs her attention toward alignment. Creative expression. She channels her soul's voice into art, music, writing, or service, transforming personal insight into tangible manifestation. These practices are not chores, they are expressions of love for herself and the world around her. They maintain the frequency of the divine feminine, ensuring that her rise remains grounded, embodied, and aligned. Living in flow and trust. As she integrates, expands, and practices her daily embodiment, the divine feminine learns the art of flow and trust. She understands that life will present uncertainties, challenges, and unexpected shifts, yet she no longer fears them. She does not cling to outcomes. She does not resist the natural unfolding of her path. Instead, she surrenders to the divine rhythm, accepting what she cannot control, acting decisively where she can, trusting that her alignment attracts what serves her highest good. Through flow, she transforms uncertainty into opportunity. She transforms fear into courage. She transforms waiting into active creation. Flow is not passivity. It is co-creation with the universe, guided by intuition, wisdom, and love. Transcending limiting beliefs. Living as the divine feminine requires courage to transcend deep-seated conditioning and limiting beliefs. She asks herself, which beliefs about love, power, and self-worth no longer serve me? Where have I given away my energy in fear or obligation? How can I reclaim my sovereignty in thought, word, and action? Through introspection, shadow work, and self-compassion, she dissolves old stories. She replaces scarcity with abundance. She replaces fear with love. She replaces self-doubt with divine trust. Her mind becomes a sanctuary of clarity. Her heart becomes a wellspring of unconditional love. Her energy becomes a magnet for alignment, abundance, and sacred connection. The ripple of collective awakening. As the divine feminine continues to embody herself, her impact is no longer confined to personal or relational spheres. Her rise contributes to collective awakening. Communities experience greater compassion, empathy, and conscious collaboration. Systems shift as aligned, intuitive, and empowered voices lead with integrity. Future generations witness a model of love, sovereignty, and conscious power, giving them permission to rise in their own right. She becomes a living example of what humanity can be when love, wisdom, and presence guide action. Her rise is a revolution, quiet, profound, and unstoppable. The final message of empowerment. To every woman, every soul awakening in this lifetime, you are not waiting for anyone. You are not incomplete. You are not defined by past pain, external validation, or external timelines. You are rising. You are embodying. You are expanding. You are leaving a legacy of love, light, and awakening that transcends the personal, the temporal, and the visible. You are not waiting for him. You are rising within yourself. You are the divine feminine, and your rise transforms the world. This is the culmination of your journey, not in perfection, not in approval, not in waiting, but in conscious embodiment. Every breath, every choice, every action becomes a sacred expression of your power, your love, and your truth. The divine feminine is here. She is alive. She is radiant. She is unstoppable. And she is you. The awakening of the divine feminine is not only a personal evolution, nor even a journey through intimate relationships or sacred unions. Her rise culminates in legacy, the lasting impact of her energy, presence, and consciousness across time, space, and collective awareness. Legacy is not measured by possessions, accolades, or social validation. It is measured by resonance. The imprint she leaves on souls, the frequency she radiates into the world, the consciousness she elevates. This is the stage where the divine feminine transcends self, reaching outward, not to control or impose, but to inspire, guide, and awaken. Becoming a beacon. The divine feminine becomes a beacon by embodying the principles she has learned: presence, sovereignty, compassion, and authenticity. People are drawn not because she seeks attention, but because her energy radiates alignment and truth. She speaks from clarity, not ego. She acts from intuition, not obligation. She loves from a place of wholeness, not dependency. Her mere presence becomes a catalyst for others, a mirror reflecting their own potential, their own capacity for love, and their own ability to rise. Have you noticed how some souls, without trying, inspire you to become better, to step into your own truth? This is the energy of the awakened divine feminine. It is subtle, magnetic, and transformative. Teaching through living example. The most powerful teaching of the divine feminine is through embodiment. She does not preach ideals she has not lived. She does not demand growth from others while ignoring her own shadow. She becomes the living proof of what it means to rise, to heal, and to love consciously. Every choice she makes, every boundary she sets, every act of self-love is a lesson. Every time she refuses to shrink, apologize unnecessarily, or sacrifice her energy, she teaches sovereignty. Every time she chooses compassion over judgment, presence over distraction, and intuition over control, she models conscious living. Her life becomes a curriculum. Her story becomes a blueprint for others who are seeking to awaken, heal, or embody their own divine essence, influencing the collective. As the divine feminine continues to embody herself, her influence expands beyond the individual sphere. She begins to touch communities, organizations, and movements. She uplifts workplaces through empathy-driven leadership. She strengthens communities through conscious collaboration and service. She inspires movements through the quiet power of aligned action and authentic presence. Her rise demonstrates that leadership is not dominance but alignment, that power is not control but resonance, and that impact is not imposition but invitation. Through her example, the feminine teaches that collective change begins with inner alignment. When enough individuals embody this energy, societies shift, systems transform, generational patterns dissolve. Her legacy is not only personal but cosmic, resonating in the hearts of those who have yet to awaken. Mentorship and guidance. Part of the divine feminine's legacy is mentorship. She recognizes the souls who are beginning their awakening, and she extends guidance without attachment, expectation, or control. She nurtures intuition, courage, and creativity. She encourages boundaries, authenticity, and self-love. She illuminates the path without dictating it, allowing others to discover their own sovereignty. Her mentorship is subtle yet profound. It does not demand obedience, only attention to resonance. It does not create dependency, only empowerment. By guiding others in this way, the divine feminine ensures that her energy ripples forward, leaving a trail for generations to follow. Creating through energy and intention. Beyond relationships and mentorship, the divine feminine leaves her mark. Through creation, art, music, writing, spiritual work, social impact projects, all become vessels for her energy. But she does not create from scarcity, fear, or desire for recognition. She creates from alignment, inspiration, and love. Every work becomes a frequency, a vibration, a message that touches hearts, inspires minds, and awakens souls. Her creations become timeless because they are infused with her essence, not merely her skill or intellect. They resonate beyond time and space, transcending the physical, reaching those who are ready to receive them. Creation becomes her immortality, the manifestation of the divine feminine in the world that endures far beyond her physical presence. Transcending time, the divine feminine recognizes a truth few truly grasp. Legacy transcends time. Her energy, wisdom, and love do not remain bound to her lifetime. The frequency she cultivates flows through others, awakening souls who may not even be born yet, impacting lives she may never meet, and influencing the collective consciousness in ways unseen and profound. Time becomes irrelevant to her influence. Her alignment ensures that her presence resonates across generations, cultures, and dimensions. Every act of love, every moment of courage, every decision rooted in truth, these are eternal. In this sense, the divine feminine becomes a timeless force, a seed planted in the soil of the universe, blossoming endlessly. The ripple effect. Consider the impact of the divine feminine as a stone cast into water. One ripple touches a friend, a family member, a colleague. That ripple moves outward, influencing others who then create their own waves. Soon, the initial act of alignment has transformed the energy of an entire community or even a culture. Her rise is never solitary. It is never confined. It is collective, infinite, and sacred. And through this ripple effect, she teaches humanity a vital lesson. True power comes not from domination, fame, or wealth, but from aligned presence, conscious creation, and unconditional love. Reflection, the ultimate gift. As the divine feminine embodies her legacy, she understands that her ultimate gift is the empowerment of others to rise within themselves. She does not seek to control or instruct, she seeks to illuminate. She does not chase gratitude or acknowledgement. She radiates energy that inspires natural alignment. She does not fear imperfection. She models courage, authenticity, and grace. Her legacy is the transformation of the collective consciousness, the activation of divine potential in others, and the expansion of love as a force that shapes reality. And through this legacy, she realizes her own immortality, not in physical form, not in accolades, not in memory, but in the eternal ripple of her rise, resonance, and love. The final message. To every soul awakening now, to every woman stepping into her divine feminine power. You are not waiting for validation, recognition, or completion. You are not waiting for him. You are not waiting for the world. You are rising within yourself. You are embodying, creating, inspiring, and transforming. You are leaving a legacy not of possessions, but of energy, consciousness, and love. Rise fully, radiate your truth, and know that through you the world awakens. You are the divine feminine, and your legacy transcends time. The divine feminine is alive in your choices, your presence, your love, and your creations. She is not waiting. She is not hidden. She is here, she is rising, and she is eternal. The divine feminine, fully awakened and embodied, reaches a stage beyond personal transformation, beyond relationships, and beyond even the legacy she leaves behind in this lifetime. She begins to transcend the limitations of the human experience, moving into a realm where consciousness itself becomes a catalyst for collective evolution and cosmic alignment. To understand this stage, one must grasp a profound truth. The divine feminine does not rise only for herself. She rises for humanity. She rises for the planet. She rises for the cosmos. Her energy, her wisdom, her love are no longer confined by time, space, or human perception. She becomes a living conduit, a bridge between the finite and the infinite, the material and the divine, the personal and the collective, seeing beyond illusions. One of the hallmarks of this transcendence is vision beyond the veil. The awakened divine feminine perceives reality differently. She sees patterns that others overlook, cycles that repeat unnoticed, and the subtle interplay of energies that shape the human experience. She recognizes the collective wounds carried through generations. She senses the unhealed pain that manifests as conflict, fear, and disconnection. She perceives the latent potential in humanity, waiting for awakening. With this clarity, she no longer reacts solely to surface events. She responds from a higher awareness, understanding the interconnectedness of all things. Every action, word, or choice is informed not only by personal alignment but by the flow of universal consciousness. Her insight allows her to act with precision and grace, influencing outcomes in ways that ripple far beyond what the human eye can see. Energy as a tool for evolution. At this level, the divine feminine understands that energy is creation. She knows that thought, emotion, and intention are not merely psychological experiences. They are vibrational forces that shape reality. Her consciousness becomes a tool, a vehicle for evolution. Through meditation, ritual, creativity, and conscious action, she channels her energy to heal collective trauma. Through presence and intention, she contributes to dissolving generational patterns and ancestral wounds. Elevate consciousness. Her alignment raises the frequency of those around her, inspiring awakening and higher awareness. Manifest harmony. By acting from love, clarity, and purpose, she creates conditions where alignment, cooperation, and conscious connection can flourish. She recognizes that even small shifts in her energy can create waves of transformation, subtle yet powerful, because consciousness itself is the fundamental fabric of reality. Beyond the self, collective evolution. The divine feminine transcends egoic limitations, moving beyond the self as the center of experience. She no longer seeks personal gain, approval, or recognition. Her focus expands to the collective evolution of humanity. She nurtures communities with wisdom and empathy. She catalyzes social, spiritual, and cultural transformation through her presence and action. She fosters unity without imposing conformity, honoring diversity while emphasizing shared consciousness. Her rise demonstrates that true evolution occurs when individual empowerment meets collective awareness. She teaches humanity that growth is not isolation, but interconnection, the harmonious interplay of autonomous, conscious beings acting from love and alignment. The role of cosmic alignment. Transcending human limitations also involves attuning to cosmic rhythms, the cycles of the universe, planetary energies, and universal consciousness. The divine feminine aligns herself with the energetic flow of the cosmos. Lunar cycles inform her emotional and creative energy. Planetary alignments guide her strategic action and manifestation. Universal resonance helps her discern opportunities for impact and alignment with higher purpose. By attuning to these forces, she amplifies her influence and becomes a channel for universal wisdom. She moves with grace through time and space, synchronizing her personal and collective actions with the higher order of the universe. Transcending fear, limitation, and scarcity. In this stage, the divine feminine has shed much of the fear, scarcity, and limitation that once bound her. Fear of rejection, failure, or loss is replaced with courage and trust. Scarcity mindset transforms into abundance consciousness, recognizing infinite potential. Limitation of identity dissolves into awareness of interconnectedness, allowing her to act beyond narrow self-interest. She understands that these limitations are constructs of the mind, temporary and illusory. By transcending them, she frees not only herself but also creates energetic space for others to rise. Her presence becomes a template for liberation, showing that humans are not bound by circumstance, history, or conditioning. They are bound only by their own awareness and willingness to evolve. Manifesting global impact. The awakened divine feminine's energy naturally scales from the personal to the global. She inspires movements for social justice, equality, and conscious governance. She fosters collective healing through education, art, and spiritual teaching. She participates in planetary alignment work, environmental stewardship, and humanitarian projects. Her influence is energetic first, material second. The vibrations she carries and radiates shape the collective field, setting the stage for tangible transformation in the material world. Through her presence, she demonstrates that inner alignment is the precursor to outer impact, the bridge between humanity and the divine. At this stage, the divine feminine functions as a bridge between humanity and higher consciousness. She translates spiritual wisdom into practical guidance. She embodies divine qualities in human form, making them accessible and relatable. She encourages others to awaken, heal, and align with their higher selves. Her life becomes a living teaching, showing that the divine is not separate from the human. It is embodied, integrated, and activated through conscious living. Through her example, humanity learns that the sacred is not abstract, distant, or unattainable. It is present, alive, and accessible in every moment of alignment, love, and conscious action. The eternal ripple. As she transcends human limitations, the impact of the divine feminine becomes timeless. Her energy continues to ripple across generations, influencing those she will never meet. Her teachings, creations, and presence act as catalysts for awakening long after she has passed through this lifetime. Time, space, and circumstance cannot confine her influence. Every thought, every action, every vibration she emits becomes part of a cosmic symphony of awakening. She teaches that evolution is not linear, and influence is not limited to immediate perception. Even the smallest act of conscious love can ripple outward, touching countless lives and catalyzing shifts that are invisible yet profound. Reflection. The ultimate truth of the divine feminine. The divine feminine understands that her rise is both personal and universal. She knows her healing heals beyond her own experience. Her presence elevates consciousness. Her alignment catalyzes evolution. Her love transcends time, space, and form. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are rising within yourself. And in your rise, you become the catalyst for evolution, the bridge to the cosmos, and the embodiment of divine alignment. This is the final stage of transcendence. Not in control, not in conquest, not in fear, but in conscious, sovereign, radiant, and loving alignment with all that is. The divine feminine is no longer confined to human limitations. She flows freely between worlds, energies, and consciousness. She is the awakening, the embodiment, and the infinite ripple that transforms all it touches. The divine feminine is here. She is rising, She is transcending. She is eternal. Awakening to the divine feminine is a profound journey, yet it does not end with realization or insight. True embodiment occurs in the everyday moments, the subtle choices, and the consistent alignment of body, mind, and soul. This chapter is about bringing the sacred into the ordinary, turning each day into a canvas for conscious living, and allowing the rise of the divine feminine to flow seamlessly through all aspects of life. 1. Morning rituals for alignment. The beginning of the day sets the energetic tone for everything that follows. A conscious morning ritual allows the divine feminine to step into her sovereignty before the world imposes its chaos. Practical steps include meditation or breath work. Start with 10 to 20 minutes of mindfulness, connecting with your inner voice, grounding your energy, and setting intentions. Journaling. Reflect on your dreams, express gratitude, and affirm your values. Questions like, how can I embody love, strength, and presence today? Focus your energy on alignment. Movement. Gentle yoga, stretching, or conscious dance awakens the body, releases stagnant energy, and opens channels for flow. Energy check. Place a hand over your heart, feel the beat, and silently affirm, I am aligned, I am sovereign, I am love. These rituals are not routines to be rushed. They are moments of sacred embodiment, anchoring your energy in presence and intentionality. 2. Mindful presence in daily actions. The divine feminine exists not only in meditation but in every action, no matter how small. Eating with awareness. Savor your meals. Honoring the nourishment you provide to your body. Conscious communication. Speak truthfully, kindly, and clearly, listening as deeply as you speak. Attention to energy. Notice how interactions, environments, and media affect your energy. Choose alignment over distraction. Presence transforms mundane acts into rituals of empowerment. Folding laundry, washing dishes, walking outside, these become opportunities to express grace, love, and consciousness. By bringing awareness to each moment, the divine feminine cultivates mastery over her energy and strengthens her connection to life's subtle rhythms. 3. Shadow work and emotional healing. Even fully awakened, the divine feminine continues to face and integrate her shadow. Shadow work is the practice of observing, understanding, and transforming the aspects of ourselves we hide, deny, or reject. Journaling prompts. What fear am I avoiding today? Where do I feel powerless and why? What stories no longer serve me? Emotional release. Cry, scream, write, or move your body to release pent-up energy. Reflection. Meditate on triggers or difficult interactions, observing them without judgment. This ongoing process ensures that healing is not temporary but integrated into your being. It allows your energy to remain clear, vibrant, and aligned with your divine feminine essence. 4. Cultivating intuition and inner guidance. The divine feminine is deeply intuitive. Daily practices nurture this inner guidance, helping you navigate life with clarity and confidence. Quiet listening. Spend moments in silence, tuning into subtle signals from your body, mind, and spirit. Dream work. Record and reflect on dreams, recognizing symbols, messages, and guidance. Decision alignment. Before making choices, check. Does this serve my alignment, growth, and sovereignty? Intuition becomes a compass, guiding not just personal decisions but interactions, relationships, and creative expression. 5. Energy hygiene and boundaries. Living as the divine feminine requires maintaining energetic sovereignty. Energy clearing. Use meditation, smudging, sound healing, or visualizations to release stagnant or misaligned energy. Conscious boundaries. Politely, firmly, and consistently honor your space, time, and energy. Digital mindfulness. Limit exposure to negative news, social media, or draining influences that disturb your frequency. Boundaries are not walls of separation. They are sacred containers allowing your energy to flow freely and purposefully. 6. Creative expression and manifestation. The divine feminine channels her energy through creation. Artistic expression, painting, music, writing, dance, becomes a vehicle for channeling energy and manifesting inner vision. Goal setting and manifestation exercises connect intention with action, aligning the physical and energetic realms. Visualization and affirmation practices anchor your desires in consciousness, co-creating with the universe. Through creation, your essence radiates outward, transforming energy into tangible impact and inspiring others by example. 7. Conscious relationships and sacred union. Relationships are mirrors and catalysts for growth. The divine feminine approaches connection consciously. Seek reciprocity, respect, and growth rather than dependence or approval. Honor your partner's path while maintaining your sovereignty. Transform conflicts into opportunities for awareness, compassion, and deeper connection. In sacred union, love is not control, but shared expansion, a dance of two sovereign beings reflecting each other's growth and healing. 8. Service and collective impact. Beyond personal growth, the divine feminine contributes to the collective consciousness. Acts of service can be small, a kind word, a conscious project, volunteering, or grand, influencing communities and social structures. Service is an expression of alignment, turning personal empowerment into ripple effects that elevate collective energy. Leadership rooted in empathy and integrity becomes an extension of divine feminine influence. She embodies the principle that awakening is both personal and collective, and conscious service ensures her rise benefits not just herself, but the world. 9. Daily reflection and gratitude. Every day ends with reflection and acknowledgement of growth. Journaling. What did I embody well today? What challenged me? Where can I grow tomorrow? Gratitude. Listing at least 5 aspects of life for which you are grateful anchors abundance and love in consciousness. Energy reset. Gentle meditation or breathwork releases residue from the day, preparing the field for restful sleep and ongoing alignment. Reflection turns experience into wisdom, and gratitude transforms action into love and conscious frequency. 10. Continuous evolution. The divine feminine knows awakening is not a destination but an ongoing journey. She honors growth cycles, expanding, contracting, resting, and rising. She celebrates milestones while remaining open to deeper levels of consciousness. She accepts imperfection, understanding that each challenge is a sacred opportunity for expansion. Her embodiment is fluid, adaptive, and timeless, allowing her to navigate life with grace, resilience, and conscious power. The final message. The divine feminine in daily life is alive in every choice, every breath, every action. You are not waiting for a moment, a person, or an external validation. You are rising in every step you take, in every thought you nurture, in every act of conscious living. The sacred is not separate from your life. It flows through you, transforms you, and radiates from you. Live your divinity every day. Align your actions, honor your energy, and rise within yourself. The divine feminine is not a concept. She is your daily embodiment, your conscious presence, and your eternal power. Through these practices, the divine feminine becomes inseparable from life itself, flowing seamlessly between the sacred and the mundane, the personal and the collective, the human and the cosmic. The culmination of the divine feminine's journey is not solely in her rise, her embodiment, or even her influence upon the collective consciousness. It is an integration, the sacred union of the divine feminine and divine masculine, within herself and in her relationships, reflecting a state of wholeness, balance, and alignment with the universe. This union is not external alone. It begins internally, within the subtle layers of energy, thought, and emotion. It is the recognition that the divine feminine and divine masculine are not opposites to conquer, but complementary forces to harmonize. Understanding the energies. The divine feminine embodies qualities of intuition, flow and receptivity, compassion, nurturing and emotional depth, creativity, embodiment, and relational awareness. The divine masculine embodies qualities of structure, clarity and action, protection, decisiveness, and direction, focus, logic, and initiative. Neither energy is inherently male or female. They exist within every soul, regardless of physical gender. Integration means cultivating awareness, respect, and synergy between these energies, allowing each to express fully without dominance or suppression. The awakened soul realizes that imbalance, either over-identification with the feminine or masculine, leads to tension, misalignment, and unhealed patterns. True union occurs when both energies dance in harmony, co-creating alignment in thought, action, and presence. Integration within self. Before union with another, the divine feminine must integrate the masculine within herself. Discipline with flow. She honors her routines, goals, and boundaries while staying flexible and intuitive. Action with receptivity. She acts decisively, yet remains open to inspiration and guidance from within. Strength with compassion. She embodies courage and power while nurturing her own and others' emotional needs. Logic with intuition. She balances analytical thinking with deep intuitive knowing. Internal integration transforms her into a whole, sovereign being, no longer dependent on external validation or polarity dynamics. She moves from duality to unity consciousness, experiencing herself as complete, creative, and aligned. Integration in relationships. Union in relationships mirrors internal integration. The divine feminine and divine masculine come together not to complete each other, but to magnify wholeness, co-create, and elevate consciousness. Mutual sovereignty. Each person respects boundaries, honors autonomy, and fosters individual growth. Shared vision. Collaboration arises from alignment, intention, and shared purpose, rather than compromise out of fear. Emotional resonance. Both embrace vulnerability, communicate honestly, and hold space for one another's feelings. Energetic harmony. Each recognizes and respects the other's energy patterns, allowing space for polarity without conflict. In such a union, love is freedom and alignment. It is not possessive, controlling, or conditional. It becomes a sacred mirror of growth, reflecting the highest potential of each partner. The alchemy of union. When the divine feminine and masculine energies are fully integrated, alchemy occurs. Creative power is amplified, allowing co-creation in both material and spiritual realms. Emotional depth is met with clarity and action, producing transformative outcomes in relationships, communities, and endeavors. Challenges become catalysts, as each partner reflects and supports conscious growth. The energy field of the union radiates alignment, inspiring others and influencing collective consciousness. This union is a living template, a blueprint for awakening, wholeness, and conscious partnership. Embodied wholeness in daily life. Integration manifests in everyday choices, decision-making, combining intuition with strategy, empathy with logic. Creativity. Harnessing inspiration and discipline to bring visions to life. Presence. Fully experiencing moments with emotional depth and grounded awareness. Conflict. Transforming challenges into opportunities for reflection, communication, and co-creation. Wholeness is not perfection. It is fluid mastery, the ability to navigate life with balance, resilience, and grace. It allows the divine feminine to shine without suppression, and the masculine to lead without control, creating a harmonious dance between energies. Living as a fully awakened soul. The ultimate stage of this journey is embodying full awakening, where the soul expresses its divine nature in every aspect of life. Alignment with purpose. Every action, thought, and word is guided by clarity, vision, and intention. Service as expression. Contribution flows naturally, inspiring transformation and uplifting collective energy. Presence as power. Authenticity and alignment radiate influence without force or attachment. Compassion as strength. Empathy becomes a source of power, not vulnerability. Resonance with the cosmos. Life unfolds in synchrony with universal rhythms, allowing flow and divine timing to guide the journey. At this stage, the divine feminine and masculine are no longer separate energies to balance. Consciously, they are embodied as one living force, flowing effortlessly through every interaction, creation, and experience. The role of love in full integration. Love is the ultimate expression of integrated energies, not a dependency or need, but a sacred co-creation. Not conditional, but a frequency of resonance that uplifts and transforms. Not limited to romantic experience, but expressed in friendship, family, community, and self-relationship. Through integrated love, the divine feminine and masculine catalyze collective awakening, demonstrating that love is both a personal and universal force, capable of healing, transforming, and aligning consciousness. Transcending duality. Full integration transcends duality. She no longer sees masculine and feminine as separate, competing forces. Challenges become opportunities for co-creation, rather than conflict. Life is experienced as flowing unity, where polarity informs growth without division. Time, space, and circumstance are navigated with grace, presence, and higher awareness. The awakened soul operates from infinite consciousness, seeing the divine in herself, her partner, and all of existence. The final message. To every soul ready to embody the divine feminine and masculine. You are not waiting for the perfect partner, the ideal moment, or external validation. You are rising, integrating, and awakening within yourself. You are the wholeness you seek, the love you wish to give, and the alignment that transforms both your life and the collective consciousness. Embody your divine feminine and masculine energies fully. Align, integrate, and rise. Love consciously. Act purposefully. Live awakened. You are the union, the balance, and the infinite potential of the soul. The ultimate union is not in another. It is within you. It is in your choices, your presence, and your love. It is your eternal rise, your conscious embodiment, and your contribution to the awakening of the world. This is the culmination of the journey, the living embodiment of divine balance, where integration, love, and consciousness flow as one, shaping the world through presence, action, and infinite resonance.